Hello, my name is Claire McGoldrick and I'm the Numeracy Pedagogy Officer for West Lothian Council, and I'm joined by my colleague Laura Johnston, class teacher at St John the Baptist Primary in Fauldhouse. Today we will share how we are encouraging practitioners across West Lothian to plan for numeracy and maths learning experiences across STEM, outdoor learning and play, in conjunction with our recently refreshed progression pathways. To begin with, I will give you some background on our project. Over the session of 2019 to 2020, West Lothian Council decided to refresh their existing numeracy progression pathways. We had the core aim of ensuring that the pathways supported staff to provide excellent and equitable, high-quality experiences to engage, motivate and inspire all learners to meet their individual needs in numeracy and mathematics. Additionally, we wanted to ensure that all children and young people achieve their potential through clear progression in their learning from early years through to senior phase. Therefore, our pathways now go from age 2 to 4th level. Finally, we wanted all partners to work in collaboration to develop and enrich numeracy and mathematics experiences for all children and young people in school and beyond. And to do this, our pathways are designed to be accessed online, where staff can also contribute to associated collaboration spaces, sharing good practice across the authority. We were clear from the outset that we wanted our pathways to be more than a paper document, and we want them to really support the planning process as much as possible. Amongst many of the things we wanted to support practitioners with was planning for numeracy and mathematics through other contexts, such as STEM and outdoor learning. The pathways had to promote a range of experiences that provide learners with a wide range of stimulating opportunities to develop numeracy and mathematical skills across the 4 contexts for learning, and for providing additional depth or breadth of learning through the use of increasingly challenging contexts for learning, including play. In order to support staff with planning for numeracy and maths learning experience within a STEM, play and outdoor learning context further, we worked closely with the team from Education Scotland, Maria Docherty and Mary Thompson, from the Forth Valley and West Lothian Regional Improvement Collaborative, as well as our West Lothian RAISE officer Nicola Connor, to develop a planning resource based upon the refreshed pathways. The resource would guide practitioners through example planners demonstrating how learning in numeracy and maths could be explored through a STEM, outdoor learning and play context. It aimed to encourage practitioners to reframe their thinking when it came to planning for numeracy and maths and consider other contexts for learning and reflect upon the planning process through a bank of reflective questions. Piloted initially with a group of practitioners working at early level before then being piloted with first level in November 2020. I'll now hand over to Laura, who was one of the practitioners involved in the early level pilot, to share her experience of using the pathways along with this resource when planning for numeracy and maths learning experiences.
Thank you, Claire. I decided to initially make the experience and outcome MNU 0-02A the focus of my planning across the 3 contexts of learning: play, STEM and outdoor learning. I identified the children's prior learning and I identified where they were on the pathways in order to help me plan appropriate next steps. The children were all working at early level, and there was a mix of children working across phase 1 and phase 2 of the pathways. Throughout the learning, I kept in mind my assessment focus and what it was I had hoped the children would achieve by the end. As for the resource itself, I found it really easy to use and put into practice. I used some examples from the resource as well as some of my own ideas. Coming from an early years background, I was already planning numeracy through a play context, but I found the resource particularly useful in giving ideas on how I could plan for numeracy across the context of STEM and outdoor learning. In terms of play, I introduced a shop area to bring a meaningful context for the children so that they could use what they had been learning about counting, number recognition and representing quantities through play. It also brought breadth to their learning through using coins and exploring how money was used. Children also transported shop items to other areas of the classroom to count and organise their coins there. The shop itself allowed for personalisation and choice, as some children decided that we needed an open and close sign for the shop, which then also brought literacy into this play context. They also decided that we needed a clock so that we could tell when the shop was going to be open. Again, this brought more opportunities to explore numbers and look at them in different ways. I'm now going to share with you this little video clip. It really captures the children applying these skills they have been learning through this play context. And you will also see from the video the motivation and the engagement and how children were experiencing learning in a fun and natural way. This context really helped to open up the numeracy curriculum in a way that was meaningful for all of the children. There were good assessment opportunities through observing, joining in with the play and differentiating my questions also. With STEM, various challenges were organised where children were challenged to create a model using a set number of bricks or construction materials. This promoted lots of problem solving and proved a challenge for many children. It also brought with it creativity and imagination in the models that were being constructed. Many children also chose to replicate these challenges during free play, and there were discussions around numbers in this area which didn't happen previously. We also explored making parts of a number using Play-Doh and STEM cards. Children then photographed their learning using the iPads, which was then used for assessment purposes and plenaries in the classroom as well. In terms of outdoor learning, it was great to observe children using the open space, being active, working together and applying their learning to yet another context. There were lots of opportunities for children to order numbers. We ordered number bottles and acted out the rhyme, 10 green bottles. We also created our own class number line using natural materials and loose parts for our working wall. We looked at other ways to order numbers and we worked together to represent these quantities using natural materials. This provided quality assessment information as to whether the children were secure at forward number sequences to 10. We also used hula hoops to replicate the part-whole model we were learning about in class. I wanted to see if the children could apply these skills to yet again the outdoor context. Children took turns to hold up a number whilst the other children used their knowledge and problem-solving skills to work out how many children were needed to stand in the other two hula hoops in order to make that whole number. Again, these experiences provided me with quality assessment information through listening to how the children were problem solving, as well as observing and questioning them. The children also worked with a partner to write a number of their choice and find natural materials using the same part-whole model. I will now pass you back on to Claire.
Thank you, Laura. I'm sure that will have demonstrated just how impactful exploring numeracy and maths across STEM, outdoor learning and play can be. The feedback to date has been really positive from the first level pilot too, and we will soon be launching this across West Lothian as well as embarking on a second level pilot, again looking at planning for numeracy and maths across STEM, outdoor learning and play. In addition to this, we would also like to explore how our progression pathways can support the link between home and school, especially in the current climate. So we will be looking at further ways to engage parents and carers. Finally, we will continue to develop the pathways by populating them with examples of practice where numeracy and maths learning experiences have been planned for through other contexts, including the 4 contexts for learning, to further support the planning process and to also engage collaboration and sharing of good practice across West Lothian. Thank you for your time.